Hi everyone. As we talked about it in the class, we are going to use R programming language in this course. And specifically, we are going to use RStudio as an interface, and then we're going to write all the homeworks, projects, and assignments in R Markdown. But for those of you with zero background in R, so let's start our crash course in R. So the goal is to provide you the very basics of R programming language, and then as we go through the semester, I will add, some extra topics as we go on. So as a starter, we are going to start with the very basic topics in R. So I'll make it multiple videos. Installation is a separate video, and then we go over R and then RStudio, and we review some basic functions in R. And then when we feel comfortable and confident working with R, we're going to go ahead and apply everything in R Markdown and see what is R Markdown language. All right, so let's start with with the R programming language itself. As some of you guys may know, it's an open source language. So it means that it is a free software, and it's an environment for statistical computing and graphics. And as of today, September 2020, R is, in my opinion, one of the best statistical packages out there. So for that reason, and the community is huge. If you just Google how to do econometrics in R, there are tons of videos on YouTube and tons of materials, free materials available online that you can, take your time and read them on your own. But if you want to learn all of it in one place, so for our course, I guess if you watch carefully this R crash course videos that I'm putting together, you should be good to go for the rest of the semester. Because basically, don't be afraid, don't be scared of, it's a programming language, it's difficult, I'm not good at coding. Guys, to give you some comfort, you're not going to code in this course. Basically, we are calling functions, and that's basically it. You're not expected to write codes from scratch. We're gonna borrow functions from other people's codes, which comes as a package. We will talk about it, but don't be afraid. It's not going to be a pure coding course, right? All right, so let's start with the installation of R. And because this is a shared video between both my classes, Econ 4330 and Econ 7310, it really doesn't matter which course page I open. They basically are the same. This page are going to be the same. Let's start with the installation of R and RStudio. So we go to the pages, and here everything you need to know about R and RStudio. Click on it, and then these are the steps that I want you to follow. So either if you're a Mac user or Windows user, the installation is pretty much the same, and it's very straightforward. As of today, the latest version of R is called Taking Off Again, and it's version 4.0.2. If you're already familiar with R and you have older version of R already installed on your computer, you don't need to upgrade it, even though upgrading R from RStudio is a piece of cake. But again, if you're comfortable with the version that you're already working with, you don't need to change it, But for this class, we're going to stick to the latest version, which is 4.0.2. All right, so we click on this link, r-project.org. It will navigate us to this web page, and then you can read through. This is a community of R. Again, the community is huge. It's called CRAN. And then you click on download R. So here it will navigate you through CRAN mirrors. So basically this is where everything is put on different servers, right? You scroll down, find one of the servers or mirrors in US. It really doesn't matter what. So you scroll down at the very bottom. In USA, there are a bunch of mirrors, right? So for instance, the first one is Iowa State University. And guys, really doesn't matter which one you click, because at the end of the day, the version of R that you're installing is going to be exactly the same. So right now, as of September 4th, this link is working, but there's a good chance that when you're installing some of these links are not working. So if you click on this, the first link, and didn't work, just try the second one. If it didn't work, try the third one, and etc. So let's start with the first one, which is Iowa State University. Again, this is just a mirror, and it will navigate you to another page. So now, if you're a Linux user, first link. If you're a Mac user, second link. If you're a Windows user, third link. So because I'm demoing it for you guys in a Windows, so let me quickly show how it looks like for Mac, and then we're going to install it on this computer, which is a Windows computer. All right, so if you click on the Mac version, I just click on the Mac version, and then you see, scroll down, there's this .pkg. So for Mac users, you know that this is the installation file. So you click on this, it will be downloaded to your computer, and then again, this is Windows, so apparently it's not going to work on Windows. But when it's done with downloading, you go ahead and double click on it on your Mac, and then drag it to your application. You should be good to go. That's it. So installing R is as simple as that on Mac. So on Windows, however, again, this is not going to be difficult either. So the steps are pretty much the same. You click on download R for Windows, and then if this is the first time that you're installing, you can say install R for the first time. Click on this one, navigate to this page, and depending on your Windows, if it is 32 bytes or 64 bytes, it will automatically detect it here. So this is common for both of them. So download R 4.0.2 for Windows, and it's going to start downloading the exe file .exe. So I already went ahead and uninstalled R and RStudio on my computer. So your steps are going to be exactly the same as mine. So I don't have anything installed on this computer. So the download is complete. You double click on the exe file. So the next steps are pretty straightforward. So it is going to install it on my computer. Press next. Again, whatever folder you want to put it, I recommend you to just leave it to be a default path, which is your program files on C drive. And then, so when it gets to this point, my computer is a 64-bit, so I can go ahead and unclick the 32 bits, but because it's only 50 megabytes, just leave it like this. Don't change the default settings. Just make sure that everything is check. And then next step asks you that what are the startup options. It says that okay, if you want to change it, make it customized, you press yes, but don't change any of the default ones. And so you can make a start menu, call it R. That's fine. Again, if you want, you can you say do not create a start menu, but I just want you to do that. I want you to have an R folder in your computer. Even though we are not going to work with R directly, we will work with RStudio, which is the interface for R. Then, if you want to create a short desktop shortcut, you make sure that it's checked and etc. But so again, this is up to you. But the registry entries must be checked. So save version number in registry and associate R with the R data files. So the extension for R files are .rdata. So for instance, the extension for Word document is .doc, or for R is R. The database is for R is rdata. You click next. It's going to go ahead and install R on your computer. Depending on the speed of your computer, so it may take a couple of minutes. So I have a pretty fast computer, so maybe yours is going to take a little slower, but yeah. All right, then when you're done, you can click finish. Okay, now we have R installed in our computer. So again, if you're a Mac user, you know how to open an installed application. If you're a Windows user, you can click on this and navigate down to your R folder. So there should be a new folder called R, OPQR. So this is a folder. You see, it's this. We have the 64-bit version. You click on this 64-bit version. So this is R, right? And so literally we are in the program right now. So you see my cursor. So the first thing is that it talks about different versions, so we don't need to do anything about these ones. These are just some information that every time that you open R, you will see these things, right? And this is literally the program that the backbone of the interface that we're going to work with. But for example, you can think of it as a very sophisticated calculator. If I just write 1 plus 1 and press enter, I'll see the answer is 2, right? And then, so as you can see, it's a very simple program. And when I start typing things, so for instance, when I start, I don't know, table, it doesn't suggest me anything. So it means that you have to memorize the name of the functions and formula, the functions in general. So as you can see, it's not that user-friendly interface, right? So that's basically it. I don't know if I save something, if I say, for instance, x equals to 1, then I know if I call x is going to be 1, but where can I see my variables? I cannot see the list of variables, right? So because of that, people came with an idea, says that, okay, maybe R itself is very simple, but at the same time powerful, but it's not user-friendly. So let's not work with this environment. Instead of that, we're going to work with something called RStudio, and RStudio is basically an interface for R, right? So this means that whenever you open RStudio, you're going to type things, and automatically behind the scene, the codes are going to be run on this program, in R programming language, right? So for this course, we never ever are going to work with R directly. So we close it. You don't need to save it. I just wanted to show you how, where you can find it, how it looks like, how basic is that. And again, if you want, you can make a shortcut, pin it to your start menu, and etc. Right? So let's have it there. So this is our R. Let me just put it here. All right. Now again, we are never going to work with R. We are going to work with RStudio. Now let's go ahead and see what is RStudio. Let's open RStudio. Let's go back to our course page. The second step we have to, so we did the second step, we installed R. Now third step, let's download RStudio, which is again an interface for R, which is a very, very user-friendly one and very advanced. So let's click on this, and remember, it is free. You should not pay anything. R and RStudio, both of them are free. So this is the RStudio website. When you're here, just scroll down. At the very bottom, you see you can download the free version. Make sure that you download the RStudio desktop, the first one, and it is free. Okay. You click on it. So again, this is going to download the Windows version, but if you're a Mac user, make sure that you scroll down, find the Mac version. So this is a .dmg file. Click on this thing. So this is going to be a little more bulky than the R, so it's going to take a little longer. But if you're a Windows user, just click on either this link or this link. If you're a Mac user, click on this link. Right. Okay. So let's go ahead and download RStudio. I will pause this video and then return when the download is complete. Alright, the download is complete. Now I will go ahead and double click on RStudio here. And again, if your browser doesn't show something like this, most probably it's in your download folder. So you can find it in go to the download folder, double click in RStudio. And for Mac users, you have installed multiple things on your computer so far, so I believe that you know how it's done. So I just double click on RStudio and let's see. Okay, so this is the message box that I get. So just go ahead and install it, click next. Again, let's don't change the default setting, but look, you need about 1 gigabyte of free space, so make sure that you put it somewhere that you have 1 gigabyte, so it's 996. Again, it depends on the version that you're downloading and etc., but usually it's around 1 gigabyte. So we click next, and here you don't need to change the defaults again, so we just go ahead and click install. And this is going to take a little longer, so I'll go ahead and pause the video and come back when it's done. Alright, the installation is done, and then you just click finish. Okay, now if you go to your start menu, or for Mac user, go to your application folder, you should be able to find one new software. which is RStudio. OPQR. You see, we have RStudio here. Now make sure that you put it on the desktop. I already have, because I already had it on my computer, but and uninstall it automatically. It showed up here. So this is the RStudio one. So this is the one that we're going to work with in the entire semester. So let me go ahead and resize it. You change you see the difference. So this is RStudio. This is R. RStudio is nothing different than R. The programming language in RStudio is exactly R. So behind the scene, still we are using R. But as an interface, we never work with this R program itself. We work with RStudio. So let me open up the RStudio, talk a little bit about it, and then we conclude this video. Okay. So this is the environment for RStudio. Again, when you do it for the first time, you don't see something like this. So actually, let me open a new script. What you will see, just ignore me for a second, because what you will see is the very basic one. It's now, let me see. I think it was Chrome by default. Oh yeah, Chrome. And yeah, console is another. So when you open RStudio for the first time, you will see something like this, or you should see something like this. So we have 4 different windows here, right? So the main one is we call it editor, right? So this is the editor, and in the editor you can type things. So you say 1+1 and etc., right? And so I'll come back to editor, but basically this is the place that you're going to write all your codes and save it here. Okay. Then the second window is your console. So the console is this. You remember we saw something like this in R. So this is basically when you can talk to R, but it's not going to be saved anywhere. Whatever you type here, if I close this RStudio and open RStudio again, everything is going to be replaced, right? So here, you remember, when I say 1+1, enter, the answer is 2. But if I close it and open it, then everything is going to be wiped. So we usually do not deal with console, or specifically, we do not write stuff directly on console. We will work with the editor. So because whatever I write here, then I can save it as an R script, and then when I close the RStudio, open the RStudio again, when I call that file, it's going to be there. So this 1+1 or whatever code we are going to write there will remain in that R script. So that's why we're going to always use the editor. Console is like your scratch paper, right? So you want to test something quickly, and then you write it in the console. Again, we are going to work back and forth between console and editor, but basically everything we do is going to be written in editor, and at the end of the day, we save that file, right? So for example, if I write anything here, so 1+1, and then I need to write a comment. This is a test. We use a hashtag and then write something, because otherwise R is going to complain. It says that I don't understand your language. But if I put a hashtag, R understand that this is a comment. So basically I'm commenting out. And so we're going to do a lot of, let's say, I don't want to call it coding and scare you, but review some basics in R. And so again, I can go ahead and click on this save button, and then I can save it on my, let's say, desktop, give it a name, call it test. I want to show it to you how it looks like. Just ignore my desktop files and folders. So let's call it test. And then now if I close my RStudio, then let me show the icons here. So this is my desktop. And so this is the test that I was talking about, right? So test.r. You see the extension .r? Okay. So for Mac users, by default, I guess you see the extensions. For Windows user, it's probably not your default. It's no big deal, you know. I prefer to see the extensions, and by default, you will not see. If you want to see the extension of your files, you can go to your Windows and then type folder option, and then click on this file explorer options. Then I think there was something here. Yeah, you click on view, and then it says that hide. No, where's this? hide extension for known file types. It was somewhere around here. It was show extension basically. Okay, let me pause for a second and find that because I don't want to waste your time with that. Alright, that was here because by default, on your computer, this thing is going to be checked. It says that hide extension for known files. So what you see on your computer is most probably something like this. There's a test and there's this R. You don't see what is the extension. Okay, so I don't see what is the extension of this. I know it's PDF, but if you want to see the extension, use a folder option, go to this view menu, and then untick this one, hide extension for known files, and then click apply. Now, again, I think it's a good idea to show your extension. And the catch is whenever you want to rename the file, make sure that you do not rename the extension, because if I, instead of R, if I put txt and press yes, then this file is going to be transferred to a text file, not an R. So that's the only caveat for maybe non-professional users. They make that mistake. So make sure that you do not change the extension, but if you want to rename it, just simply rename it in whatever, just call it new name, new test, whatever. And now if I double click on this new test R script, RStudio is going to automatically open, and well, it's here says that remember this, it used to be called test, but you rename it. So I said, okay, just close that one for me, open the new one. You see, everything is there. So 1 + 1 is there, this is a test is there. And basically at the end of the day, we are going to write lots of stuff in the R script. So by the way, we call this R script. So this isn't a script that you're working on, this is a script. So at the end of the day, we write our codes in the R script, and whenever you want to call it, simply double click on it and everything is going to be there. Alright, so that was all about R and RStudio installation. And one last thing, okay, I want you to take it very slowly, right? So maybe you will, I don't know, when you look at RStudio for the first time, you become overwhelmed and say that, okay, what are these things? There are lots of buttons here. But think of it this way, when for the first time you look at the Microsoft Word software, you really didn't explore all the details that you can have here, right? Because if I do that, it's really, I think the menus is even more than RStudio. I can go to options, I can look, I don't know, there are lots of things that can confuse me here, right, in the Microsoft Word. But you're never scared of Microsoft Word, right, because it's an easy peasy software. So I want you to treat RStudio exactly like that. Do not be scared by all the things that you're seeing here. Gradually you will understand all of them, right? But what I want you to, at least as a starter, learn is that this is our editor, this is the console. Then here we have the environment. I'll talk about environment in the next video. And then if you have a plot, we are going to see the plot here. If you need help, we talk about packages. Basically this is where the file is located at. But usually we see the plots here and environment. The environment, it says that if I say variable x is equal to 2, x is going to show up here. This is basically the environment where keep track of the variables in the data. That's it. That's really this simple. Again, you can play around with all these menus down the road, but for now, let's start very simple version. Okay. All right. So let me close this one, and actually let's stop the video. In the next one, we're going to talk about the basics of R.